A lot of people have asked what the LSU players are doing in light of their obviously not being on campus. There's no spring football. They can't work out. All the facilities are closed. So a lot of people said, what are the LSU players doing? How are they staying in shape? So I had a chat yesterday via text with Tommy Moffitt, and he said he didn't mind if I shared this with you. So I'll recite to you or relay to you what he told me yesterday, how this all went down for the team. So if you remember, March the 12th, 13th, basically, was when they found out they were going to be shut down. That was that Thursday, Friday, 2 weeks ago. It was kind of when everything really started coming to a head, where the NBA postponed its games, and then we found out that the NBA was suspending its season. The SEC basketball tournament got canceled. That's when everything started to get canceled, was that Thursday, Friday. And the SEC kind of put forward that timeline initially. Of course, the College World Series, the NCAA said all spring sports championships were going to be canceled. So that's when we learned the College World Series was going to be canceled. But there was still some hope about spring football at the time. Well, then all of that got canceled, and teams were allowed to meet one final time on that Monday. That Monday was the 16th. So Tommy Moffitt told me that I'll read to you. He said we came in early on Monday the 16th. The weekend before, they put together a packet with a lot of different alternatives for the players to work out. So they came in on Monday the 16th, the staff did, and the staff shot videos of everything. So they took instruction videos of everything for the players. And then they presented the players with the packet in that team meeting Monday morning. So remember, everything canceled Thursday, Friday, over the weekend. They have the meeting Monday. That's where a lot of the spring sports all said, farewell. Football met, and they were all presented a packet. So they have 5 workout options for the players. 3 workout options that require, as he put it, some weights, dumbbells, and kettlebells, ranging from what they'd be doing in an ideal setting if they had a gym, and to work out with light dumbbells or kettlebells or just whatever's available at somebody's home or wherever they may be. He also said we have 2 really good body weight and resistance band circuits that will suffice in a punch. So if a player is at home and doesn't have access to a gym or weight training and they just have body weight or resistance bands, they gave them workout options also. He said, this is again, Tommy Moffitt said, the running is the easy part. We asked them to do 1 speed and 1 sport-specific conditioning workout per week, with Saturday being a solid endurance day. He said, so we asked them to do 3 days of lifting, 3 days of running. Then he wrote, that's a lot. Hopefully it keeps them busy. We also included alternatives for the running should someone not be able to get outside and do it. And then he wrapped up with, it's not ideal, but for 99% of the team that I know of, we're all in a similar situation. All teams in college football. I said the absolute most important thing is they take care of themselves, their family, their academics first, and the rest of this stuff secondly. So again, that was Tommy Moffitt, which the coaches, incidentally, this is their spring break. They're counting this week as their spring break. So the coaches are all off. So that's why Coach Moffitt couldn't come on this week. So they're all supposed to be taken off, which is totally cool. But he was good enough to share that with me. So a lot of people have asked, and what's abundantly clear, and this shouldn't be a surprise, is that LSU football used that weekend before their team meeting when they knew spring was going to be done and perhaps not returning. But they knew they would be away till at least the middle of April. They took that weekend to write out 5 different workouts, to shoot video of all the workouts, and present every player with a packet of all the workouts that they could do, 3 days of lifting, 3 days of conditioning, some with a full weight set, some with limited weight sets, some with body weight resistance bands, so to do the best you can. So if nothing else, what it should show you is they were very much on top of the situation to make sure that all of their players had access to some form of conditioning and workout, so that way that they could stay in as best shape as possible through this time. Now, we'll see come mid-April if the SEC allows teams to return to practice. One thing we know is that the seasons obviously aren't going to happen, but the possibility of teams practicing again is still out there, and that's mostly for football. It's I guess theoretically, baseball could go out and practice, but they're not going to play any games, right? Softball go out and practice, but they're not going to play any games. Like the seasons have been scrapped. So if football could get back out there in some capacity and train and have spring drills, that would be very welcome. Is that going to happen 3 weeks from now? I don't know. I think everyone would be guessing at this point because we're all looking at, yesterday we were talking to Matt Beck on the show, and he said something along the lines of, who knows what's going to happen. Nothing would surprise me at this point. We were talking about the MLB draft, and it's so true. I mean, 2 weeks ago today, I would have never believed, I could have never conceptualized a world where the NCAA tournament would have been canceled, where the College World Series canceled, where the Kentucky Derbies moved to September, where for the first time ever, the Indianapolis 500 is going to happen outside of May, where we're talking about potentially postponing drafts, not having a major league draft. Like, I would have never conceptualized that reality. So now that we're in it, I think everyone, it wouldn't matter what I told you. I mean, I could told you Bigfoot and a unicorn were going to be there to toss the coin at LSU's home opener, and you might believe me at this point because all of this is so unprecedented. But the good news is that LSU, obviously, the whole staff had the foresight. They had a plan. They organized it, and they got their guys all a plan to stay in shape as best they can during this time. Now, the continuation of that is something that happened yesterday. So we learned yesterday that the SEC athletics directors are having daily teleconferences. So all 14 SEC athletic directors are having a teleconference every day to talk about a variety of different issues, as you would imagine, as is wise to do. And one of the things that apparently they are discussing is the possibility of something that would resemble OTAs in college football. Suzanne Halliburton of the Austin American-Statesman tweeted this yesterday. And again, so Ross Bjork, who was at Ole Miss, now is the Texas A&M athletic director, was on that SEC athletic director conference call and then did a teleconference of his own with local media. Apparently, he's doing that once a week with local media there in Texas. Well, Suzanne Halliburton, who covers A&M for the Austin American-Statesman, wrote, Texas A&M Athletics Director Ross Bjork anticipates the NCAA will allow a type of mini camp for football in May, June, or July to make up for spring practices if they're totally scrapped. So, follow there. If there is no resumption of spring football, apparently what the NCAA is leaning towards is allowing college football programs what might resemble like an OTA in the NFL. Now, OTAs are organized team activities. They are voluntary. I'm not sure how coaches would classify this, if it would have to be voluntary or if it would be mandatory for players. My guess is everybody would attend. Why wouldn't you after missing this time? But what it might be is it a long weekend or whatever number of workouts to get guys back on the field in anticipation of returning for fall camp, provided everything's clear by then and clear enough to get back to these types of activities. So the one thing, James Franklin, the head coach at Penn State, said in a Zoom conference call with media that adding additional football activities to the summer leads to a reduction in family and vacation time for coaches and pretty much everyone else involved. So I hate to say this, and I don't want to be callous, because I am very sympathetic to the schedules that coaches operate under. And they sacrifice a lot of time with family because a lot of them work 12, 13, 14, 15-hour days, especially during the season, and they get very little downtime. So I don't want to come across as not being sympathetic, but the reality is this right now, this is your downtime. Everybody's campus is closed. Everybody's buildings on campus are closed. Student athletes aren't allowed in weight rooms, on football fields. There's nothing going on right now. All of these coaches are at home doing the same thing that other, quote, normal people are doing right now, which is trying to get your kid through school when there's no school, trying to make sure family's safe, practicing social distancing, all those things. So it's not ideal. It's not the beach. It's not your normal vacation, but this is your time off, man. Like, rest up, recharge the batteries, make the best you can of this, Be on the phone with recruits. Stay in touch with your players within whatever the legalities are within the NCAA. But, I mean, you're home now more than you ever are. And so what this may mean is that in June, when you maybe normally get that break from football activities, you're not going to get it this year. I mean, nobody really anticipated a global pandemic. So sorry your trip to Orange Beach got canceled. But that's probably how this is going to have to go. And I love the idea of some NFL-type schedule. I mean, the NFL makes this work every year, where you have mini camp and you have OTAs, and then you have the limited workouts. I mean, I could see a scenario where in May, June, you have those OTA-type workouts for college football, and then after that, they get back into the gym conditioning for the start of fall camp, and then you start fall camp on time, the end of January, beginning of August. I mean, that just, provided it all works that way with the calendar and with what we're allowed to do from a health and leadership and government standpoint, if everyone's allowed to go out and be social again, that's probably the best case scenario.